Don't just start a podcast, and I'm going to tell you why in this video. You know, a lot of people, they get into the world of entrepreneurship and they say, hey, well, I probably should start a podcast. Maybe I should start a YouTube channel. Really, when they start looking at these new mediums, and podcasting has been the biggest thing lately, is that they say, hey, well, I should probably start a podcast. This guy's doing it. He's making money. Maybe I should do something like that. I could talk, I could interview people and maybe get a following, sponsorships, and that kind of thing. And although it all sounds great and exciting, you gotta look at the bigger picture. And what a lot of people miss when they're first getting into the online business space is they're thinking about it in a linear fashion. They're looking at things one way, when in reality, you got to rotate things and look at things three-dimensionally. So that's what I want to do is, instead of just starting a podcast, I want you to start a network. So this is what a network really looks like. Okay, so here's what most people do. Most people, they look at a podcast and they say, hey, this is my business. This is what I'm starting. This is my podcast. And with that podcast, I'm going to have a website, right? And I'm going to talk, I'm going to have an audience, and I'm going to make money from this way. So it might be sponsorships right here. I might do interviews. I'll sell some t-shirts and some other products eventually. Okay. But the problem is when you look at this content form, okay, this podcast is a distribution medium one way. It is a one-way distribution medium. You got your podcast, and now you're starting to distribute it, and maybe you'll post it on your website. So now you're starting to get into a second distribution medium. And this is the problem, is you're thinking about it in a linear fashion, when I want you to start rotating this concept and start looking at it more at a hierarchy level. Okay, start looking at it like this. Where does the podcast fit in when it comes to your business model? And as you start breaking this thing down, and you might find other sources, but I would say at the top of the food chain, and in this case, our top will be at the bottom, at our baseline, this is our core, this is our foundation. Think of it like the earth, right? The ground level is something along the lines of, well, it might be virtual reality later. This is the one-on-one connections, really. But in this form, as we get into distribution, this is video. And you might say, hey, well, why is he talking about video? Well, remember, with a video, what I could do is I also have my audio here, and I have my video, and I have pictures, I have visual. So I have a lot of mediums here. So what takes me to that next step or the next level? Well, in that next level, what I could do is now I have my podcast. Okay. And this is my distribution method and platform. So here I have my podcast. Here I have my audio. And with that audio, there's text. Okay. And what takes me to that next level? Okay. Well, let's say here I have an article. And with that article, I've gotten it from the audio of the podcast or the audio of my video. Do you see how that makes sense? And then from this article, okay, if I want to take that article a little further, well, now I have images and pictures. And where do I get the images and pictures? It's from the video over here. So these images come here. So now you start looking at it, hey, this all of a sudden makes sense. This is really a multi-dimensional kind of thing that this really starts to shape things up. Now, hey, if you're just getting started in the podcast world, just as a quick note, check out our website at podcastcolor.com. That's where we can help you get started with some cover art, and we can go ahead and help you get started with editing your podcast. And if you're doing video, check out my other team, videoacorn.com, for editing your videos and editing your YouTube platforms. But in either case, when you're looking at this as a hierarchy level, all of this can get extracted from the video form. And what I do here with the video that you're watching right now is I take the video, we go ahead, we post it as a podcast. From that video, I get my audio. That's how I get the podcast. I get the article from the audio or the text, and we have images. So all of a sudden, I'm distributing it to now I have this one content form, and it's going to all these other mediums and platforms. And that way I only make content that one time, or that one big a content piece and it goes out to all these other areas in these different ways. Because some people like to read, some people like to watch, some people like to listen because they got to drive to work. Everybody's at different standpoints in life, and the more people you can hit, the better. And to do that, you have to distribute your content, and that's what I want you to think about and really look at. Anyway, definitely check out here our podcast color website, podcastcolor.com, if you need some help with your podcast, or videoacorn.com if you need some help with your video. Hope this video helped you out and gave you some things to think about, because it's not just about building a podcast, it's about building a network for your business. All right, so thank you so much for joining me in this video episode. Hope you found it helpful, got some insights, and really takes you to the next stage level, makes you think a little bit better, and all that good stuff. All right, remember to hit subscribe here on YouTube and join me on my newsletter list. That's where I share some other great freebies, tidbits, and discounts on some of the books and courses that I have coming up and released. All right, thanks again. And remember, do what you love, contribute to other people, but most importantly, live life abundantly. I'll see you next time.